Next 50 minutes, we have Zoltán Csöndes, who is president of the Board of Trustees of the Light of Love Foundation. That's a group that is from Hungary, and we are blessed with having 8 members of that group join us at the IANDS conference. And what Zoltán is going to be talking about today is the results of the founder of that foundation, whose name is Tibor. Tibor had an NDE, and during that NDE, he discovered many things that would help not only ourselves, but others. And so he has taught a group of people and about what it takes to have a successful life and what kind of activities that this group can have in order to support people who are just like you and me and are having a life. And so I would like you all to please welcome Zoltán Csöndes and his topic, how can you help others with your NDE, serving others out of the light of love?
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, my name is Zoltán Csöndes. I'm from Hungary, so please excuse my English, but I thought myself my English is still better than your Hungarian, so I will still speak English. So I never had a near-death experience, but I've been a member of a non-profit organization which was founded by someone who had one. I've been a member for 17 years, and Tibor had his NDE 22 years ago. I managed to see all the struggles, challenges, happy moments, and successes what an NDEr faces when he dedicates his life, his entire life, for helping others. Not only NDErs, but absolutely normal, everyday people like myself. So I also met quite some NDErs, and the question they were facing was always, why did it happen to me? What do I have to do with my experience? And I think this presentation might give some ideas how can you use your experience. What Tibor did is a perfect example for that. How can you transfer your experience, what you saw up there, to my language, to my everyday life language? How can I use your experience? But first of all, I like to start with myself, and I'm sorry about it. It's not because I'm interesting, not at all. Quite opposite. I like to show you how you can help someone who is just another guy, another young man who is looking for something. So I try to use my presentation. This is me, like 20-some years ago. I was brought up in a nice, loving family, mother, father, and a sister. We had everything, so I did have a good life. But still, when I was a teenager and a young grown-up, there was a big search in myself, a big drive to find something, which I couldn't explain what it was. You know, the example, for me the glass was always half empty, rather absolutely empty. So, it's a very interesting image, by the way, because this is the book cover of Raymond Moody's Life After Life. It was published in Hungary, still in the communist times, already in 1983. So it's quite remarkable, right? During the communist time, such a book was published, and it was published by a Catholic publisher. So it was very interesting. I went to I went to study to Germany, and when I came back to Hungary, I started to study German in the university. I met there a professor who told me about someone, a strange person, who had an NDE. As I told you, I was desperately searching for something which can fill this gap in myself. I had friends, I had a loving family, I had everything in my life, but still there was missing something. So I started to search. I started to find my happiness everywhere, in psychology, in literature, in art movies, you know, like a normal, everyday life teenager or young adult does. And that's how I came to Moody's book, Life After Life. It was quite interesting, but it was a great food for my brain. It didn't touch my soul. It was a good food for my brain. So when my professor told me he met someone who had an NDE, I didn't look at her strangely. I said, okay, I'm quite curious about his talk. So I went to Tibor's talk, but of course with my intellectual approach, right? I want to check him if he's telling the same as I wrote in Professor Moody's book, okay? And I found there a very nice, very kind, simple man who told his story from his childhood till he met the light, met God, and what happened to him. And you know, my intellectual approach said, okay, it's good. That's what I read. He's telling the truth. Okay, the guy is right. Because I was very suspicious. Very suspicious. The lady who was the keynote speaker this morning, right? I had a very similar approach. I was suspicious with everybody who was telling me something which was beyond my understanding, beyond my experiences. But at the same time, I was curious. There was their inner drive in me. So, in the second part of his talk, he started to talk about love. A love, what he experienced over there, and what completely differed from the love I knew about before. So I started to open up my ears. It became very interesting for me. After his talk, it turned out for me that what I was searching for long years, it was a great food for my brain. But comes somebody who had an NDE and tells me in a very kind, very gentle, and very simple way, hey guy, what you are looking for is on a quite different level. It's much more easier than you think, and much more difficult, of course. So, oh, my presentation at the same time, sorry, I forgot to keep on going. Yeah, so what Tibor told us, this is Tibor, by the way. You can't miss him with his white beard. What Tibor told us, it was that life is actually about love, finding your own love, your inner, pure love, which is unconditional, which is independent of anything and anybody. So, this is the way how you can find your happiness. So the intellectual in me said, oh, that's so great, it's so easy. Be happy and love, that's it. I didn't know at that time, I was only 27, I didn't know that this is the most difficult path you can go on, right? Understanding yourself, experiencing the love, what is in you, and keeping your balance and live your life, whatever happens. it was also clear for me that the lot of answers I received earlier from psychology, literature, theater, so for my intellectual brain, it was great answers, but none of them were my answers. I don't say they were not true, but they made me happy for a couple of hours or a couple of days, but not for a long period of time. So I also understood that what really matters is, what are your answers? What are the answers which are based on your own experience? It's quite remarkable that although the foundation was founded by an NDEr, but now, beside Tibor, only non-NDErs run this foundation. And our goal is to help people, to help anybody, to find these values in their own life. So Tibor and two other fellows started the foundation in 1995, and 3 of them. And now we have, I would say, an international organization with about 3,000 people who've been supporting us in the last 22 years for a shorter or longer period of time. And it was quite amazing that on the basic of so-called simple statements and truths, you can really touch people's heart. We built up our foundation on a lot of different activities. Why do we need so many different activities? Because we are all different, of course, and we have a different perception of love. So what touches me may don't say anything for you, and the other way around. As I told you, and I call it, as a young man, I found myself in the state of spiritual loneliness. And I think you can see it wherever you see. I wasn't anything special, I was just another guy. I had everything, but at the same time nothing. So what I really missed was on a spiritual level. So I found the foundation. This was the small house where it all started. You can see Tibor's wife was a nurse in the emergency care unit. And you can imagine when Tibor, a very simple man, had a shop, then had his experience and started to talk about chakras and aura and love and God and light. You can imagine a nurse from a hospital as a wife was absolutely sure that he went crazy. So they needed a whole year to find out, no, it's fine, he's okay. After a couple of years, Professor Moody came to Hungary and he met only 2 NDErs, and one of them was Tibor. And Mr. Moody told him, you go on your path and start telling people what you have experienced. So we start in the little house, and now we have over 20 groups all over Hungary. This is the map, by the way, of Hungary. We are 10 million people in Hungary. So now we have over 20 groups in Hungary, and we have quite an intense international activity. We have groups in the UK. This is a presentation in Austria. In Spain, we also have groups. This is a very remarkable picture. This is in South Africa. Tibor was invited to give talks in South Africa, and then he was invited to a prison of juveniles, right? They're young boys in a prison. For whatever reason, they got there. And Tibor was invited to give them a talk, and the guards told him that the maximum he can spend there is 10 minutes, because they won't accept more. And he stayed there over 3 hours, and afterwards the boys just, you know, they were around him and they were singing together, and they promised him that in the rest of their life, they promise they will live a human-worthy life. This is in Turkey. Tibor was giving quite some lectures there also in the Blue Mosque. This is Holland. This is in Romania in a Protestant church. And you might know this image, right? Last year, Orlando, Switzerland. And this looks very Islamic, but it's in Germany. We have very good friends in Germany from Turkey. They are preserving the Islamic culture and traditions, and they are working, bringing different religions together. So in Germany, they are having meetings with Catholic and Jewish priests, and they also invited Tibor to give a talk for several times. So you can see only with these very simple messages and only reaching everyday people's heart, you can build up such a big community. Everybody's doing everything for free. We are all volunteers. I have my job. Everybody's having their job and families. We do it in this whole activity in our free time. So the main concept is to teach people how to give, how to help others, because this way, this is the best way you can help yourself. If you help others, you can help yourself. Our experience is that people who were in the worst state, doesn't matter if their soul or their health, and they started to help others, although they needed the help themselves, but they started to help others. Suddenly, their energy level started to increase, and their state became much, much better. So it's a big, big learning for each of us, that giving is also receiving, and sometimes we don't know which is harder to learn, to give or to receive. And it's also very important that we would like to teach people how can they find their own truths, their own paths, their own happiness. So we don't give them final truths or big sentences. We try to teach them how can they help themselves. So we don't want to make anyone dependent. We want to have unique personalities who find their way, who find their own happiness. And of course, Tibor said what he received as an NDEr, it was for free. He didn't have to pay for his NDE, for the love, for this insight, and for the energy. So how can we ask money for it? So if you go to Meadowbrooks and ask for an energy treatment or any massage from our friends there, it's of course for free. And we do it also in Hungary and wherever we go for free. As I told you, we have about 20 groups in Hungary. Every week we have a main talk in Budapest in our center. We have once a month a group leaders meeting. And we have all kinds of voluntary work, because the main focus is actually, okay, Tibor is giving his lectures, but the main focus is in the everyday life. Our voluntary people who is doing the massage in a small village, who is having a conversation with people wherever you go, or doing any activity with people, these are the core meaning of our foundation. So it's not about Tibor, it's not about one person, it's about many hundreds and thousands people who maybe help only a tiny little piece, but he or she can be happy and proud of himself. I was able to help. And with my help, somebody became maybe happier. So about our health team, as I told you, we have the energy treatment, the back massage, hand massage, foot massage, different gymnastic exercises, relaxation, and we make trainings too. As I'm the chairman of the board, every year I have to give a report for the state, because we are, in Hungary we call it a public interest foundation, which means it's a non-profit organization. So I have to prove it year by year for the government that we act according to our founding documents. So that's why we record each massage and treatment in Hungary. So that's how I know year by year we give over 10,000 massages and treatments for free. And of course, if I go over to my neighbor or to my family, I don't record it. So this figure actually is much higher, and we don't record the treatments what we give abroad. In this path, self-knowledge, of course, it's a key factor. You and NDErs, you know that what you have experienced, it can be the basic for us, non-NDErs, to understand our role in life, to show us a bigger picture, which makes me understand why I'm here. Everybody is having the question, why I'm here, what is my role? And upon your experience, this is much easier, believe me. Culture is very important in our foundation. A lot of people don't want to hear about energy treatment, don't want to hear about massage. It's something new age for them, but they are open for culture. They are open for a poem, for tradition keeping. They are open for dances. So it's very important. We have a dance group, we have a literature group, we have a handcraft group, choir, and every year we have an international cultural reunion. Susan and Robert Mays visited us last year. It's actually a whole day cultural event when we non-NDErs, non-professionals, go on stage and perform something for the 500-600 audience, which is not only because of the performance. It's good for me because I learn something about myself, and at the same time I give you something. And for the audience, it's also good because they see that everyday people can really do miracles. And of course, it must be fun. We have a so-called humor group or joke group. Every New Year's Eve, we have a very funny show, which also has to be made. We have a drummers group. It's a Hungarian tradition keeper drummers group. And on the right-hand picture, you can see our children's drummers. They are giving amazing performances. They are invited all over Hungary and abroad. It's amazing. They sing about love and the old values. We have our monthly magazine, which is also with our writings, articles, poems. It's again about giving and receiving. It's called The Light Bridge. We have our camp. Like 15 years ago, we bought an old and closed mine, and we made, with a lot of work, this place to a beautiful retreat. Of course, it's not Rocky Mountains, but for us it's very important and it's beautiful. On the left-hand picture, you can see the old yurts, the old Hungarian tents. The international activities. In this picture, you can see from on my side, this is it was actually this year yearly reunion. It was a panel talk. The gentleman on my side, it's a Hungarian Catholic priest. Next to him, Protestant priest. Then Tibor as an NDEr. And then two Turkish friends of us from Germany. You saw the pictures. And in the background, the guy who looks Turkish is actually Hungarian. It's me. I was translating German for the Turkish people. So these people were talking about religions, values, and the meaning of life. And it was amazing to see how the big churches, doesn't matter where they are having the same values as you NDErs have. What they have learned from their holy books and from their pure teachings, that's what you experienced. So there's only one world. And it was amazing to see on stage how they shared these values. So we have quite an intense international activity. We are supporting groups in 2 countries, in the UK and in Spain. We are organizing and translating Tibor's talk in over 10 countries and communicating with friends in 4 languages from all over the world. The foundation structure is, we have a board of trustees. We meet every fortnight, every second Friday. And we have a financial group which they have they have to face very big challenges because, as I told you, we live only upon donations. So, but our activity is quite money demanding, so they have to be very smart how to organize everything. So you might know the persons next to Tibor. Actually, this picture was made last year when Susan and Robert was in Hungary in this reunion, and Tibor was wearing his Hungarian tradition-keeping dress. So last year in Orlando, Susan and Robert asked us, why don't you deal with NDErs? It's so stupid, right? You have so many different activities, but you don't focus on NDErs. And Tibor told me, actually, yes, why not? So we started, after Orlando, with Piroshka, Tibor's wife, we started to launch an NDE group. So we had, in the last year, several meetings with between 5 and 15 NDErs, and it was amazing. So after every meeting, I went home and I said, I don't know to whom it was more important, for them or for me, because it was so beautiful. So now I'm coming to the last part of my talk, which is about NDE as a startup. I'm not sure this is the right expression for it, what I mean. But I'd like to show you that what Tibor started with his experience has changed the life of several thousand people. And this is what NDErs can do, because you have the experience, you have the knowledge. What is important to find out how can you translate or transform your experience to my language, to my understanding. And how patient are you? Because first of all, I was denying. Then I maybe opened up a little door and a bigger door, and then I understood this is for me. And this path is about me. So after we started our NDE group in Hungary, the group leader of our Spanish group, Anna, this is Anna in the middle, and next to her on the right is Piroshka, Tibor's wife. Now she doesn't think Tibor is crazy, so they are happy together, and she supports Tibor in any way. So Anna asked me how can she launch an NDE group in Spain, because I told her a lot about what I experienced last year in Orlando and what my experience was with our NDE group. So I wrote her a long email. I want to read you just a short part, but please let me read this. So what is the goal? First of all, to help such people as NDErs. To help such people to understand they've gone through a very awesome but absolutely normal experience. They are not crazy. Secondly, to make them talk. This is the best way for them to help themselves. It is an experience which touches everyone in the deepest way, so deeply that many of them simply forget it, because it is such a moving experience that they feel afterwards, it is just too much for me. I don't even want to remember it. But this way, they can't get on with their lives. Many of them remember, thinking that those people who never had an NDE would think they are crazy or not telling the truth. It might sound strange when they talk about light, love, God, tunnel, out-of-body experience for people who never heard about this. So our main task is to give them a very secure environment and our open hearts. They need to feel secure in our company to be able to talk about it. Once they feel it, and they also feel that we don't want to pass judgment about their experience, but that we are open to it, they start to talk. And they will talk at length. Because by talking about the NDE, they will start to talk about themselves. And this is great. In the US, it was amazing for me to see a lot of NDErs with totally different personalities, backgrounds, education. But at the moment they got to the point of sharing their experience, when they saw light, God, universe, or love, they all, without exception, showed the very same reaction. Tears in their eyes, a pause in their speaking, and such touched faces. I'm now preparing a presentation for this year's IANDS conference where I will talk about this topic. We non-NDErs help NDErs to make them able to help non-NDErs. Sounds crazy, right? What I mean by this sentence, my theory is that it is not a coincidence that they had their experiences. It happened to them for some reason. What can the reason be? They all saw light, love. They all had an out-of-body experience. So it means to me they experienced the world which is totally different from ours. Or let me put it rather this way. It is a world we know about mentally, but experienced it only in tiny little bits and pieces. And all of us had strange experiences, some moments when we felt we were one with the world, where nothing divided us, but we were one with everything. We also experienced sometimes a love which is not from this world, but these experiences lasted only for seconds. Often we forget them. And we live our everyday life with struggles, fears, fights, depression, and so on. Although we also experience something totally different, but we say No, it is stupid. It is not the real life. Real life is what I live in my everyday life. And we have these NDErs who experience this other world, and they clearly remember everything. They know there are not two worlds, but only one. They are not afraid of dying. They are not depressed because they are aware of the fact of what makes this world revolve. And it is love. And they carry it in their hearts, memories, and in their entire beings. They remain the same, but at the same time, their lives have changed completely. Actually, not their lives, but their approach to life. So we have to make them understand it is such a gift that it needs to be shared with non-NDErs to give them hope and help them change their mentality. If I want to put it in a symbolic way, as I, non-NDEr, know how great it is to be in water, sometimes I wash my hands or have a quick shower, but the NDErs have spent some time in the ocean, and it is a huge difference. By guiding them towards the need to have, they also will understand that suddenly their lives start to make sense. This is why they were born, to help others. By the way, that's why we also were born, but they have other experiences to share. They all need to find their own way in helping. They will do it in different ways, but what important is, why they help others, they are helping themselves. So the formula is the following. We help non-NDErs to find out who they are and what they experienced. This way, they will understand that their lives are about helping, so they start to help us, non-NDErs, which is good for us and the best way for them to help themselves too. It's a real win-win situation. So this is about the email. I'm very happy that I was so lucky to meet someone 17 years ago who had an NDE. And I'm so grateful for him. I'm so grateful for him for his entire life and journey and a lot of struggles, what he has been through. I saw him after operation in the hospital. I saw him struggling. I saw him left alone. But he never gave up. He always stood up. There was always a smile on his face. And this is because of his inner drive, but you NDErs all have. This inner drive to help, to share the love, what you carry. It's crucial to find a way to translate your experience to our language. And Tibor managed to do it. He managed to make me understand that there is only one world. And this world is about happiness and love. And also, what is the most important, he gave me tools. He gave me tools, how can I help others? Why is it important? Because through giving, I started to understand myself. I started to learn who I am. I started to walk on my path. I think this is the biggest gift you can give someone, to give tools to understand our life. So, of course, if I'm on my path, my happiness is not dependent on anything or anybody, only myself, and this is crucial. Actually, on Saturday at 3:15, you can watch a movie about Tibor, and he will also give a talk about the path of active love. So, I have some minutes to go. I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I have a final question for you. Please don't answer it to me, only for yourself. The question is very simple. How can you help? How can you help for such simple guys like me to to make them so grateful and happy as I am now in 17 years or a couple of years. Because we know only a small part of the whole existence. We very often are depressed, often arrogant, often immature, and we are desperate for unconditional love. We are desperate about emotions and understanding the eternal questions. Why are we here? How can you make us hope that love and the beauty of life is still alive? Because some of you had near-death experience here, but the most of us had only near-life experiences, and it's a huge difference. So all I can promise you and all I can tell you on behalf of those who never had an experience, that it is worth helping us. It is worth giving us, showing us the big picture. Because what I've experienced in the past 17 years, that the love, what we carry, can really change the world. So let's make the world great again. So thank you very much for your attention. And we have 11 minutes for questions, if there are any.
Zoltán, with your work all year long to prepare for the cultural reunion and all of your work on the board, how do you as a community work with people who all have their own opinions and there's this clashing of wills, there's this interpersonal tug and pull? How do you work through all these things so that there can be a harmonious, mutual, continual working and cooperation with one? How do you overcome, this inherent egotism that we have, which the life lesson for all of us is how to get to this other state of a higher, seeing the other person in their higher aspect, and where the love can move through and work through these differences. Because what we have in the world today now is just this intense polarity and split that is keeping us apart, instead of being able to come together as a team and find a way to compromise and mutually move everybody forward to a better way of working and living with each other socially.
Well, as I told you, I was very suspicious about everything what was beyond my understanding and what was linked to any organized groups. Religions, sects, anything. I just wanted to find myself. And what attracted me to this group was very simple. It was, I saw there people, very simple people from the countryside. I saw their university professors. I saw the doctors, everybody. Nobody was more or less than the others. There's one big rule in our foundation. You have to do anything only according to your inner voice, your conscience. We are not allowed to judge each other. So there's no one truth. We don't have one truth. I have mine, you have yours, and this is crucial in our communication within the foundation. So of course, still we are human beings. We often have only a near-life experience, and we have different thoughts and ideas about different topics. I don't say we are saints, but still we can refer to each other. This is my truth. It's maybe not yours. What is important and what links us to each other, that we try to reach everybody only through our heart, not through our brain. So my intellectual personality is somewhere back. And I had to bring my heart on the surface. And with my heart, nobody can quarrel, right? Because this is my heart. These are my emotions. You can question it, but I don't mind. So it's, of course, full of challenges, especially for such an organization which can't be really fitted in any box. We are not a church, not a sect, not a charitable organization. We are just a group of people, actually quite a lot of people, who wants to help. So simple, but in today's society, it's not very easy to explain that you just want to help, not for profit, not for gain. Yeah, of course, for profit, because it's a profit for me to help others, because it's a great feeling. I get filled with energy when I help someone. And they are grateful, and I don't understand why are you grateful. I just, give you a massage or smiled at you or talked to you for 10 minutes. It was nothing for me. Still, I'm more happy, and maybe changed someone's life. So, of course, it's a big challenge to find to handle different personalities, but at the same time, this is our strength. Because if we were the same people, 3,000 boxes, and not unique personalities, then we were nothing. This is very important, that we have to preserve our personality and find those links which is a bridge to the other person. And there is no intellectual, because my intellectual has maybe nothing to do with yours and the other way around, but our hearts always can correspond with each other.